constant radiation being beamed at me, and the voice to skull technology being utilized by whoever it is, it's really beginning to drive me crazy indeed. I've got several theories on who it is, but I believe it is someone associated with Devises Police in some way, because it began when I exposed the organ harvesting cabal of Walter Rose and Sons Butcher Shop. So all of the evidence is pointing to the fact that it's someone connected to Walter Rose and Sons Butcher Shop and Devises Police who is operating the beaming technology on me indeed. It won't stop indeed. Now that I've been designated a targeted individual by the British government, most probably, this will never stop indeed. I am caught in a terminal experiment. Indeed, I was already an experimental test subject before I became a fully fledged targeted individual. I was already designated TF-84 within the Roundway experiment by British intelligence mind control programmers. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. I guess you could say this all began at Grenville Lodge when I exposed the activities of the professors ritually sacrificing selected students in the catacombs beneath Grenville Lodge and turning their souls into cats. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. This Grenville Lodge network are probably still overseeing monitoring of me now. So it's all very interesting to consider. All of the Masonic lodges around here know who I am and are part of the targeting of me by the British police. Indeed, it seems the real architects of my targeting are the British police and the Freemason networks within the British police. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. I was wrong when I theorized that the Russians were targeting me indeed. This was due to voice-to-skull technology being beamed into my brain by British intelligence operatives claiming to be GRU agents and therefore causing me confusion. So it's all very interesting to consider that the targeting of me is British-based sources and British operatives, as well as, I believe, Israeli agents. So it's all very interesting to consider that Palantir basically are after me, i.e. the British police state complex. So it's all very interesting to consider, and all of this because I exposed the fact that Walter Rose and Sons Butcher Shop of Devises were running an organ harvesting cabal. So it's all very interesting to note indeed. Devises residents are also monitoring me for the police via downloading my videos to ensure I get no views and monitoring my content and passing it on to confidential police informants within the Devises police framework. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, all of this is because of the organs, i.e. Walter Rose and Sons Butcher Shop, various intersecting criminal networks and police. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. I believe they received the technology for this targeting campaign from a multinational corporation. Well, it's probably one of the multinational corporations associated with Palantir and the defense industry. So it's all very interesting to note there is a strong Israeli connection to my ongoing targeting. However, the anti-Zionist trip gives me a bad trip back to the old days, so I'm going to avoid going too deep into the anti-Semitism route. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. Special Branch are also monitoring my every move for a subsection of Wiltshire Police who want to see these exposures ended and be terminated, i.e. confined to a psychiatric institution for the rest of my life as punishment for exposing Devises Police. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. Devises Police run networks of organ harvesters through Walter and Sons Butcher Shop, and networks of child rapists through the Kurdish-run barber shops in Devizes, as well as a narco-trafficking syndicate through the Turkish kebab shops, and a child trafficking ring through the Bengali curry houses. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, all of these operations are active with the express permission of the Wiltshire Crime Commissioner, which at the time I was there was Angus McPherson, who was involved in several elaborate gun running schemes with Kurdish militants. Indeed, his successor, Philip Wilkinson, has continued these schemes and is operating organ harvesting networks in Kurdistan that interlink with the Walter Rose and Sons Butcher Shop organ harvesting ring. Indeed, it's all very interesting indeed. Various networks of Devizes residents are fully aware of all these syndicate operations that are active in their town. However, they believe I must be arrested for insulting the faith of Ishmael. So it's all very interesting. I am beginning to think that Devizes people are somewhat retarded, because they claim to be Anglo patriots, but believe that I am a traitor for insulting the faith of Ishmael, which doesn't make any sense. Indeed, it's all very strange. Indeed, this is all related to the organs, i.e. the KGB cells of Sabbatean heritage, interestingly. So despite it not being the Russians who are organizing my targeting, there are networks of Sabbatean KGB cells operative as part of a monitoring agenda of me for the British police. So it's all very interesting to consider the entire targeting scheme is really being run by Devizes police, various networks of confidential police informants that surround me everywhere in this county. Indeed, Warminster has a large congregation of police snitches who are likely to report me to the police every time they see me. So it's all very interesting indeed. While I was living in Devizes, people were reporting me at least 25 times a day. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. The protected toddler rapist and supposed local gangster Alex Day was monitoring me for 2 years for Devizes police. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. I know that all these so-called local gangsters in these small towns are grasses and confidential police informants and are on the police's payroll. So it's interesting to consider indeed. The police control the drugs trade in Wiltshire in totality and arrest any local dealers who attempt to go against the cartel. Indeed, the cartel in Wiltshire is predominantly Faith of Ishmael adherents who operate in communion with the British police, trafficking guns, drugs, women, children, and organs to British police licensed black sites, such as Walter Rose and Sons Butcher Shop of Devizes, which is one of the most important black sites for British police cartel operations in the county, if not the most important. Indeed, many of the children trafficked through Walter Rose and Sons Butcher Shop are provided to British elites for their Hellfire Club gatherings and satanic ritual sacrifice rituals at the various manor houses across the county, especially Bowood House near Calne. So very interesting to consider. Calne police know that this goes on and are themselves involved in child abduction. Indeed, PC Stuart Welsh, a Mossad Sayanim, is operative as an abductor of children all around the country for this overarching Bowood House Hellfire Club network. which interestingly intersects with the very Grenville Lodge number 1787 network that I began my exposures of in 2012 and 2013, which led to my ongoing monitoring by the British police over the years, and my monitoring by Women's Police Community Support Officer Sally Field, who was attempting to have me shut down before I revealed that she tried to kill me several times. Indeed, it's interesting to consider that my own mother has tried to kill me several times because she believed that she could climb in her career. If she killed me, basically, she's prepared to sacrifice her son to rise in the ranks of a Nazi corporation, i.e. a buyer subsidiary, which is directly interconnected to the IG Farben conglomerate, which I've spoken of many times previously. Indeed, it's all very interesting to consider indeed. As a paranoid schizophrenic man, I am now a target of various neo-Nazi satanic cult networks, especially the Temple of Blood, a subsidiary of the Order of Nine Angles. Indeed, this network interconnects with the Azov Battalion and Vermin, known to townsfolk as Cass Lynch or Cassius Lynch, who has promised to kill me on sight to enforce the Fourth Reich, basically. Indeed, Vermin doesn't realize that the whole neo-Nazi satanic cult agenda is coordinated by the British police and various networks of Israeli spy rings. So it's interesting to consider all of this. Indeed, the neo-Nazi networks across Britain are all handled by Mossad operatives. So it's all very interesting indeed. Alex Griffiths of National Action is himself a Sabbatean, i.e. he is of Yiddish parentage and is operating as a Mossad agent. So it's interesting to consider. Alex Griffiths of National Action is a Mossad agent. It's interesting to note that all of these neo-Nazi satanic networks are declaring white jihad, and indeed they have a severe crossover with the Faith of Ishmael jihadi terrorist networks. Indeed, their goals are the same, a form of accelerationism, believing they will hasten the decline of Western civilization, when they're actually working for Special Branch, and therefore they are working for the police state. Indeed, Special Branch coordinate all of the accelerationist activity along with MI5, i.e. the British Security Services. They allow these networks to proliferate to cause chaos in society, basically, so that they can implement harsher control measures on the wider population. Indeed, society is becoming more and more dangerous, and this is because the British intelligence community, the security services, and the police want society to become more dangerous so that the population asks the government for greater control measures, and therefore the police state can be introduced. There's the design of such individuals as the Sabbatean Rupert Lowe and his networks. It's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, Tommy Robinson has many Sabbatean backers and a Lubavitch handler, so it's very interesting to consider. Troy Southgate is aware of Tommy Robinson's Sabbatean handlers. However, Troy Southgate is himself handled by Yiddish operatives of the SVR via Dugin's networks and Mossad directly, so it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, Troy Southgate is a Freemason and British Security Services operative, so it's all very interesting to consider the operations of Troy Southgate and his attempts to implement the Blackwell legacy of me by insinuating that I am a Soviet spy. So it's all very interesting to consider, especially when Troy Southgate is himself handled by Yiddish operatives of the SVR, close to Alexander Dugin, one of the chiefs of the SVR, who is himself a counterintelligence operative. Indeed, one may consider him a counterintelligence genius, but he is evident to me as a counterintelligence operative, implementing psychopolitical ambitions in the West via racist networks, various fundamentalist factions of the faith of Ishmael, attempting to drive accelerationism in the West and supporting neo-Nazi satanic cults such as the Order of Nine Angles. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, Dugin presents himself as a conspiracy theorist when he's actually a counterintelligence operative. So he's also one of the chiefs of the KGB's Old Foreign Directorate, i.e. the SVR, operating many schemes against the Anglo populace for the glory of Russian fascism through the lens of National Bolshevism, which is a Stalinist agenda. So it's all very interesting to consider how all of these networks intermingle and link up. Indeed, I'm not a Russian spy. I've stated before that I have no loyalties at all to the Russian state or the Russian intelligence services. Indeed, my sources in Russia have been mental patients and conspiracy theorists. So it's all very interesting to consider this. Indeed, I'm loyal to the local felines if they want me to be. And that's all. So it's all very interesting to consider this. Indeed, devices are persistent in the belief that I am operating for a Russian cell. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, devices are desperate now to protect their reputation and the identity of various so-called criminals and child rapists in the town. They are attempting to implement a scheme whereby I am ritually sacrificed by C.J. Robbins' butcher shop of Warminster. Indeed, C.J. Robbins' butcher shop of Warminster is overseen by Wyvern Lodge number 8620 and Longleat Lodge, that I've forgotten the number of that also meets in the Masonic Hall in Warminster. Indeed, these Masonic networks are interconnected with the wider strategies of the Masonic intelligence services, i.e. the network, and wish to shut down all paranoid schizophrenics from the internet, as they believe we're a liability to the nation. But I've explained before that the British Empire does not exist anymore. Indeed, Britain as a nation state does not exist. There are solely networks with a struggling bureaucracy. So it's all very interesting to consider. There is a slow and struggling bureaucracy operating as a supposed nation state, but it's networks that we need to consider here. Indeed, the overarching Sabbatean network is a Jericho group, and they are the control group of the KGB, Mossad, and MI6. So it's interesting to consider the Sabbateans are running all of these intelligence cells operating out of the Soviet Union, Israel, and the United Kingdom. So it's all very interesting to note how all of this interlinks. Indeed, Troy Southgate is the direct descendant of a Sabbatean family, so it's all very interesting to consider. He knows this also, so it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, the National Anarchist Movement run networks of maniac murder cultists in the former Soviet territories, so it's interesting to consider that Troy Southgate is doing this in alignment with the SVR, i.e. Dugin's network. So it's all very interesting to consider the overarching agendas of various intelligence networks in terms of having these neo-Nazi child rapists running around, setting mental patients on fire and chopping off their beards. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, neo-Nazi Satanists are weaponized autists. They are not mentally ill. Indeed, Vermin, aka Cassius Lynch, or Cass Lynch, has been masquerading as a mentally ill man for 12 years, when in truth he's just slightly autistic. That's all. He is not mentally ill. He is not a schizophrenic. He makes me laugh how pathetic he is. He has no idea what I go through every day, but believes that he's severely mentally ill when he isn't. So it's all very interesting to consider, and indeed, all of this targeted individual status that is now upon me via decree by Master Masons has been due to my exposure of the organ trade in devices and the Sabbatean network controlling it all. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, I'm going to leave it there now.